So it's become increasingly apparent that I need to choose a drone to utilize professionally, consistently, and effectively instead of bouncing back and forth between drones. Just because I can doesn't mean I should. So today, we're gonna be playing a bit of a game of Bachelor between the EVO 2 Pro and the Mavic 2 Pro. And one of these lovely ladies here is going to win my heart for the year. Let's get started. What's good, guys? Ken here. You are watching Original Dobo, a channel totally dedicated to drone and tech related content. And in today's video, I am going to finally, once and for all, decide which one of these drones I'm going to be using professionally for all my client gigs going forward. For the past year, it's been the Mavic 2 Pro. It's been this drone, and I would be lying to say that I used anything else but this. Within the rare occasion that I needed my Autel EVO, that is what I've used. However, with the ever-changing drone landscape, well, I think it's time to possibly retire the Mavic 2 Pro in favor of the EVO 2 Pro, but I thought it would be a good idea to maybe try to talk myself out of doing that. And in doing so, I'm gonna do a pros and cons video. And then, like I said, one of these drones are going to get a rose, and that's what's gonna be in my bag, and that's what I'm going to take with me. So one thing to say before we get started, these are my reasons, my list. End of the day, I'm the one flying these drones, not you. So keep your snarky comments in your pants. Alrighty, so with that said, let's go ahead and start off with the cons, and I'm gonna start off with the Mavic 2 Pro for starters. And I know somebody will say, well, why didn't you start with the EVO? I don't know. It's the Mavic's right here, and I've used this the most, so I figure I have the most amount of information about negatives on this drone. So firstly, and most obvious, is that this drone is 2 years old. And because it's 2 years old, certain components can start to wear down. Now, with that being said, this drone specifically is not 2 years old because I wrecked it, had to send it in. Yeah, I wreck and break a lot of shit on this channel. But this one is new. However, if you still have your original Mavic 2, it could be aging a bit. And because it's taken its toll and it's starting to get older, components start wearing out. And there's that always added risk that this drone is prone to potential and certain doom. Because of that to me is a bit of a con. Issue number 2 comes in form of, again, more aging components, but actually something that ages like a freaking dog is these Mavic 2 batteries. I have gone through 6 batteries. Count them, 6. Now, 4 out of those 6, DJI did replace. Thank you, DJI. They're standing right there. I'm just joking, they're not actually here. But 6 of these batteries have gone bad, in which 6 times they did replace, 4 times they did replace it. 2 of the times I actually had to buy the battery because it was just too far out. But the biggest problem is these batteries do happen to swell, and when they swell, they push out of the unit, and you get the idea, the drone's gonna go falling out of the air, which nobody wants to see that. Reason number 3 and con number 3 is there is no 4K 60. Now, this is a big deal for me, and I know what you're saying. Dobo, you said numerous times that you shoot 4K 24 frames per second. Shut the fuck up, Francis. Sit down, sit down. Don't, sit down. I do shoot 4K 24 frames per second. However, with that said, I'm allowed to shoot 4K 60, okay? I shoot 4K 60 because I like to take that footage, drop it in a 24 frames per second timeline. It gives me a little bit of more of an added headroom, if you will, and it just looks really silky smooth. 4K 24 is great, and I use that at nighttime, but when at all applicable, I will shoot 4K 60 if the drone does offer it. Sit down, Francis, I'm not playing around. And then the last bit of deal, and obviously probably one that I've beat to a pulp, I'm sure London Art is just waiting at the keyboard just to start typing me, is the NFCs. There's been certain situations in where, yeah, I have not been able to fly. I think the biggest annoyance of this unit is the fact that I have to enter in all this crap about myself and even my credit card to be able to fly when it should just be about pilot responsibility. I want to be able to log this information so they have my identity and then just be able to do my thing. I sort of guess that's probably why remote ID is coming, but I don't know. It all depends on how they implement that, but that to me is a bit of a con. Alrighty, so we talked about the cons on the Mavic 2 Pro. Let's talk about the cons on the EVO 2. So first things first, holy crap, this thing is a heavy, chunky monkey. This drone is really heavy. It's a thick one, okay? It's thick, it's super heavy. It's a bit sluggish. It's a bit sluggish in the air, and if you put it in the 34 miles per hour mode, which is technically ludicrous, it does fix this problem. It gets a little bit better, but just know that it sort of turns about and it can be overall a little bit sluggish. Other negative and con that I've seen with this drone is the over-aggressive obstacle avoidance. You know, that could either be perceived as a con or a pro, but in my instance, I'm labeling that as a con. The third thing is the lack of 10-bit in the log footage. So this drone, the Mavic 2 Pro, does shoot 10-bit color, and it makes it very easy for me to color grade and push colors around. The EVO 2, where is the 10-bit that you advertised, Autel? It's not here, it's missing. Where is it? I don't know. But that's definitely a con. And then the last thing that I would like to just simply touch on is how much I hate this controller. With the second generation of the EVO, I was really hoping for a better controller. I don't know if they have something planned, but I would totally welcome it, because after utilizing the smart controller, using anything else just doesn't feel adequate. The smart controller's brightness and form factor definitely has spoiled me, and using, fuck me, that can never have enough for batteries. Anyways, as I was saying, using anything else is a bit cumbersome. And the fact that this form factor is 2 years old and it just never was really perfected right out of the gate, I just thought that Autel should have updated the design. Hopefully they still will. Alrighty, so that's it for my cons list. Now let's talk about the pros of each of these, because there are quite a few, and there are some stark differences between the EVO 2 Pro and the Mavic 2 Pro. So I'll reverse course here and I will talk about the pros with the Autel EVO 2 Pro. So firstly, this battery gets up and stays up longer than that time my Uncle Frank accidentally swallowed the blue Viagra pill on Christmas Eve. I mean, it stays up in the air for a hell of a long time and it flies hard. It's good. It really is good, the battery life. I can't say enough of great things about the battery life. The second thing is the images off of this camera are incredibly sharp. Probably some of the sharpest images that I've ever seen that really require minimal post-processing. The camera, the 6K, gives you a whole added advantage to be able to punch in and zoom in onto subjects without losing an immense amount of data in post. And that is something that I feel is absolutely amazing. It's also incredibly quiet, which I can appreciate. And there are features built into the software to add a little bit more stability and enhanced functionality that I don't really find with DJI. Like the dual stability mode is incredible. I can get really super silky shots with this, and the ability to use 4K 60 with a 1-inch sensor is a big deal, and it's a big pro for me. The range is relatively decent, and yeah, even though I'm trashing on the controller, it is nice to have a built-in screen when you need it. All right, let's talk about the pros with the Mavic 2 Pro. I don't know if that flowed, but we're gonna roll with that. So this drone flies great. You know exactly what to expect anytime you pick up a DJI drone. There is no learning curve. You just know how it's going to respond to the inputs from your sticks each and every time. I think I just actually said dicks. I don't know. The fact that I can use the smart controller is an absolute game changer. And when I'm on shoots, to be able to output this out to a secondary monitor to hand to an agent is a nicety, because it keeps them off of my shoulders. Although I really don't do that often, it is something that is available in there. The flight time is pretty decent and it flies smooth. The D-Log-M is probably some of the simplest, simple. I'm gonna get this, hang on a second. The D-Log-M is some of the simplest log footage to grade on a drone to date. It really is some of the simplest. And overall, the images look pretty sharp. Software updates are bountiful on this drone, and if something is wrong, DJI can usually fix this. So those are my list of pros. They're not yours, and I probably missed some things, but honestly, I don't have all day. This is a 10-minute YouTube video. You'll live. Some other minor differences between the two is the customer support that you will receive for either of these. DJI, for the most part, I thought they had pretty good customer service, but in recent experiences, they're an absolute shit show. And because of that, I really can't say that I trust the support team at all. Autel, I can send them an email and typically I'll have a response back relatively quickly with minimal effort on my end to resolve the situation and or get my drone taken care of or fixed, which to me is a big win because you want to be able to get back up in the air. So I have to choose one of these. And after using both of these on several listing shoots, I have to say that the Rose is gonna go to, we'll be right back after this commercial break. All right, so before I talk about which one I'm going to use, I just wanna quickly go ahead and talk about these landing pads. Nah, I'm just fucking with you. We don't do landing pads here. But I am gonna give the Rose to the EVO. She's gonna come home with me and she's gonna be the one that's in my bag, primarily because it's the newest one. It also offers me a lot more flexibility, and some of the things like the H.265, 422, 10-bit I know can be fixed. So I'm not gonna stress out too much about that right now. I'm gonna trust that Autel will be able to fix those issues specifically. But I think all in all, from what I've seen and what I've used with the images, and you can take a look at some of these photos of the houses I've shot, I'm impressed. And I don't have to really stress myself out when I do color correction or I'm actually editing the photos. And at the end of the day, I need to be able to fly something consistently and fly something well. I think flip-flopping between drones just delivers mixed results to clients. And it also makes me have to constantly relearn functionality. I know it's a weird thing to say as a YouTube reviewer where you fly drones for a living, but I do like consistency from a business perspective. So because of that, and because of the warranty and everything, I'm gonna line up with the EVO 2 Pro. I do have some ND filters hopefully coming for this really soon. So we'll do another cinematic test once I do have those filters, but I will keep the Mavic 2 Pro as a close backup in case if this ever fails me. But as of right now, the flight time, the battery, I can go from shoot to shoot without ever swapping batteries, which is pretty cool. And the fact that there is also side obstacle avoidance. I know I said it was overly aggressive, but at least the side obstacle avoidance does work when I do use this in any mode, which is a big deal. So because of that, the EVO 2 will be the drone that I'm keeping in my bag. And yeah, I'll be sure to post more videos and photos with this. If you're not following me on Facebook at Apex Image and Media, go ahead and check that out. I'll include a link in the description below because that's where I post all the work from my company there, so you can see exactly what these drones do. I think that's better than a YouTube review. All right, we're gonna go do some disgusting things. Stay original.